Detective Evelyn Chase's eyes fluttered open to an unyielding chill licking at her skin. The air was stale, metallic, heavy with the sharp tang of blood and something else, fear, maybe, or desperation. She was sprawled on a cold concrete floor, muscles aching as if she'd been dragged here, unconscious perhaps, hours ago. Her head throbbed in pulses, sinking cruelly with a quiet ringing in her ears. For a moment, nothing made sense. Then reality dawned with sickening clarity. She was inside a room, and it was unmistakably a crime scene. The scene of the slaughter taped off with that distinctive yellow caution tape, frozen in a tableau of violence. Except this time, the yellow tape was locked on the outside, sealing her in. Her fingers trembled, brushing over the cold floor to find something familiar, a piece of shattered glass, maybe a shard from a broken whiskey bottle. The space around her was sparse, a small apartment or a makeshift office, but the smell that clung to the air, it wasn't ordinary. It was something deeper, something that told tales of last-minute struggles and whispered secrets too dangerous to speak aloud. She forced herself up carefully, every joint screaming protest. Her badge lay on the ground, oddly filthy and bent almost beyond recognition. How was it possible she was here, inside the heart of a crime scene that had presumably been discovered hours ago? Worse, how had the room been sealed from the inside while she was inside it? Her mind raced, grappling with fragmented memories as she stood unsteadily. The last thing she recalled was chasing down a lead on a cold case. A murder with no suspects, no clues. A case that had become a nightmare clawing at city streets for years. Tonight, she had felt close to something, a trace of truth in the way of lies. Before she could examine the room further, a low creak sliced through the silence. Evelyn froze, eyes darting to the single window. It was unnervingly small, frosted over, letting in a dim gray light but revealing nothing of the outside. Slowly, the creak came again, this time from the door, a heavy-looking steel door with a small, thick glass window. She inched toward it, pressing her palm to the glass and peering out. The hallway beyond was empty, dimly lit, sterile like a morgue corridor. And then she saw it, a camera lens swiveling slowly toward her, embedded in the ceiling, watching her like a hawk. Panic clawed at her throat. If this was a crime scene, sealed tight for forensics and investigation, why wasn't there anyone else here? More importantly, why was she trapped? Fumbling with the zipper of her jacket, she revealed her sidearm tucked beneath. That was something, but her pockets, her phone was missing. She must have been. Was this a kidnapping? A trap? Somehow, the pieces did not fit. Suddenly, a voice slithered out from the speaker above the door, crackling with static. Detective Chase. You're awake. Good. The voice was calm, too calm, and disturbingly familiar. Who is this? Why am I here? Evelyn demanded, fighting to swallow the swelling dread. There was a pause. You were close, too close. We couldn't have that. A cold realization clawed at her. This wasn't random. Someone had orchestrated this moment meticulously. Someone who knew exactly who she was, what she was capable of, and how far she would go to unearth a secret better left buried. What do you want from me? She whispered, heart pounding against ribs like a caged animal. To watch, the voice said simply. To see if the great Detective Chase can solve this one, from the inside. The word, inside, hit her like a blow. This wasn't just a prison, it was a puzzle box. A room set up for her, with clues and dangers woven into its very walls. Her gaze swept the room more thoroughly this time. To the corner lay a battered briefcase, half opened, a trail of blood leading toward it. Beside it, a torn photograph, edges singed and blackened, someone she recognized but couldn't place immediately. She stepped closer, heart hammering. The photograph snapped into focus. A smiling woman, around 30, with piercing green eyes, her sister, Clara. Gone missing 5 years ago, presumed dead. Evelyn's throat tightened. The room's walls were scrawled with cryptic messages, numbers, and dates. A calendar hung, its pages ripped except for today's date, circled in thick red ink. The place was a shrine to her obsession. She realized then, the killer wasn't trying to hide anymore. They were taunting her, dragging her down into their twisted narrative. Her pulse quickened as she knelt beside the briefcase. It was locked, but not impossible. She worked her fingers gently on the latches, fingertips numb but determined. Click. Inside, a series of folders, Files on unsolved cases, missing persons, and photographs, including some of her own investigation notes. The last folder was marked simply, Clara. Evelyn's breath caught. Opening it, she found a journal, dog-eared and smeared with reddish stains. The handwriting was jagged, frantic. She swallowed dryly and began to read. Asterisk. They're watching it all. The lies underneath the city like rot in the foundation. Clara told me not to trust the shadows, but the shadows have minds of their own. Evelyn, if you're reading this, you're in danger. The past you tried to bury never stays buried. Asterisk. A sudden thud jolted her head up. From the adjoining room, there was another part of this building. She hurried to the door dividing the rooms. Locked, obviously. But as she examined the frame, she noticed faint scratches in the paint. Someone had tried to escape before. Or maybe someone else was trapped inside with her. The thought was a needle ripping through her gut. Then the lights flickered violently. For a moment, the room plunged into darkness before emergency bulbs flicked on, bathing her in red light that hinted at alarm. A screen on one wall blinked awake, displaying grainy footage. A timeline flashing images of Evelyn's life, her cases, her mistakes, and deeply personal moments from years past. She never heard the voice on the speaker again, but every once in a while, the screen switched to a live feed of her trying desperately to figure her way out. Her mind raced through everything she knew. Whoever orchestrated this had access to her files and personal life. They had been watching for a long time. Maybe the person who'd killed her sister, maybe someone even closer. Hours passed, or maybe it was days. Time seemed to distort. Food and water appeared in a small slot in the door as if the captor was feeding her just enough to keep her alive. But Evelyn's focus never wavered. She had to get out and find the truth. Then she spotted it, a tiny anomaly in the room's ceiling panel. One tile was slightly misaligned. Climbing on a ruined chair, she pried it gently. Behind it, a narrow crawlspace and thin wires running along its length. She followed the crawlspace as far as she could, leading to a vent, partially obstructed. With great effort, she pulled herself through, emerging into a narrow crawl duct that ran along the hallway outside the sealed room. Her breath hitched. Freedom was close, but she smelled something more. A whiff of her own fear mingled with the scent of stale cigarettes and unwashed clothes. Someone had been here recently, or was waiting for her. Carefully, she edged forward, the metal walls whispering faint echoes of footsteps from somewhere deeper in the building. Suddenly, a voice, low and venomous, cracked behind her. Going somewhere, detective? She spun, the faint beam of a flashlight cutting through the dim corridor. From the shadows emerged a figure. A man in a dark jacket with eyes like cold steel. Who are you? Evelyn demanded, pivoting on instinct, weapon drawn in the narrow space. You don't remember me, but I've known you longer than you think, he said, voice thick with years of bitterness. The face knocked the breath out of her. It was her old partner, Jonah Mercer, the man who had betrayed her years ago in a scandal that nearly destroyed her career. He had vanished right after, assumed dead or fled. Why? Why this? She whispered, trembling. Jonah's laugh was hollow. You always played the perfect detective, but the truth was ugly, Evelyn. Lurking under your nose. I wanted you to see it, how corrupt everything is. How the people who should protect end up killing just as much. Her grip tightened, but the lingering pain of betrayal dulled her impulse. Jonah wasn't here to kill, at least, not yet. You framed me, she whispered. You destroyed my life. He looked away. I did what needed to be done. You were too close to the wrong people. Before she could respond, the room outside the vent suddenly exploded with noise, heavy boots pounding down corridors, radios crackling commands. Someone was coming. Jonah's expression shifted. You have two choices, Evelyn. Come with me, and I'll tell you everything. Or stay here and rot, locked away with your memories. Heart-hammering, Evelyn hesitated a breath before crawling out, shedding years of fear and sacrifice with every inch she moved. She followed Jonah into the shadows, the building's secrets sprawling out before them like a dark map. Somewhere beyond the walls, the truth waited, one she was determined to expose, no matter what it cost. The room stayed sealed behind her, the silent witness to a game much larger than herself. The game was only beginning.